Hey everyone, welcome back. 9. Fatal mistakes that ruin your life in old age. What if I told you that right now today? You might be making decisions that will make your golden years absolutely miserable. What if the choices you're making in your 30s, 40s, or 50s are setting you up for a life of regret, loneliness, and financial disaster when you're 70 or 80? I'm about to share with you 9 fatal mistakes that millions of people make without even realizing it. Mistakes that don't just affect your bank account, but your health, your relationships, and your entire sense of purpose in life. And here's the scary part. Most people don't realize they're making these mistakes until it's too late to fix them. Stay with me for the next 40 minutes, because what you're about to learn could literally save your future self from decades of regret. Hi, everyone. I've interviewed hundreds of seniors, some who are living their absolute best lives, and others who are filled with regret about the choices they made decades ago. Today's video is different. It's not just about financial planning or health tips. It's about the deeper, more fundamental mistakes that create a perfect storm of misery in old age. I've structured this as the 9 most critical mistakes, ranked from bad to absolutely devastating. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to avoid every single one of these traps. But first, let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 72 when I met her at a coffee shop. She was well-dressed, articulate, and seemed to have it all together. But when she started talking, I realized she was one of the loneliest people I'd ever met. She told me, "I spent 40 years climbing the corporate ladder. I have a beautiful house, a decent retirement account, and my health is okay. But I have no real friends, my kids barely call me, and I wake up every morning wondering what the point is." Margaret had made several of the mistakes we're going to talk about today. The tragic part? She could have avoided all of them if she'd known what to watch out for. Don't let Margaret's story become your story. Let's dive into these 9 fatal mistakes. Mistake 1. Neglecting relationships. Mistake number 1 is the loneliness trap, and it's more deadly than you think. Here's what happens. You get busy with work, raising kids, paying bills. You tell yourself you'll reconnect with friends someday. You skip social events because you're tired. You let friendships fade because maintaining them feels like work. Then one day you're 65 and you realize you have no one to call, no one who really knows you, no one who cares if you're having a good day or a bad day. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies on happiness, found that the quality of our relationships is the single biggest predictor of life satisfaction in old age. Not money, not health, relationships. But here's the brutal truth. You can't build meaningful relationships overnight. Deep friendships take years, sometimes decades to develop. If you're not investing in relationships now, you're setting yourself up for profound loneliness later. I know a man named Robert who was a successful surgeon. He worked 80-hour weeks for 30 years. He missed countless dinners, vacations, and social events. When he retired at 65, he had plenty of money but no friends. His wife had her own social circle, but Robert, he had no one. He told me, "I thought I was building a life, but I was actually building a prison." So how do you avoid this trap? First, schedule friendship like you schedule everything else important. Put social events on your calendar and treat them as non-negotiable. Second, invest in relationships that will age with you. That means prioritizing friends who share your values, not just your current circumstances. Third, learn to be vulnerable. Surface-level friendships won't sustain you in old age. You need people who know the real you. And finally, diversify your social portfolio. Don't put all your social eggs in one basket. Have work friends, hobby friends, neighborhood friends, and family friends. The relationships you build today will literally determine whether you're happy or miserable in 20 years. Mistake 2. Financial unpreparedness. Mistake number 2 is financial denial. And it's probably the most common mistake on this list. Here's the scenario. You're 35 or 45, and retirement feels like a lifetime away. You have bills to pay now, kids to feed, maybe a mortgage. So you tell yourself you'll start saving next year or when I get that promotion. But next year never comes. The promotion doesn't provide as much extra money as you hoped. And suddenly you're 60 with almost nothing saved for retirement. Let me share some numbers that will wake you up. According to recent studies, the median retirement savings for Americans aged 55-64 is only 120. Zunio. That might sound like a lot, but it's not even close to enough. Financial experts recommend having 8 to 10 times your annual income saved by retirement. So if you make $50,000 a year, you should have $400,000, $500,000 saved. Most people aren't even close. I met a woman named Linda who worked as a teacher for 35 years. She loved her job, but teachers don't make a lot of money. She always assumed her pension would be enough. But when she retired, she realized her pension plus Social Security only covered about 60% of her pre-retirement income. She had to move in with her adult daughter, not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. She went from being independent to being dependent, and it destroyed her sense of self-worth. Here's what most people don't understand about retirement savings. Time is more important than the amount you save. If you save $100 a month starting at age 25, you'll have more money at retirement than if you save $300 a month starting at age 45. That's the power of compound interest. So what do you do if you're behind on retirement savings? First, start now. Even if you can only save $50 a month, start. Every dollar counts. Second, automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers to your retirement account, so you never have to think about it. Third, take advantage of employer matching. If your company matches 401k contributions, contribute at least enough to get the full match. It's free money. Fourth, consider side hustles or additional income streams. The gig economy makes it easier than ever to earn extra money. And finally, educate yourself about investing. You don't need to become a financial expert, but understanding the basics of index, funds, and compound interest will serve you well. The bottom line, every year, you delay saving for retirement makes your financial future exponentially more difficult. Mistake 3. Ignoring health until it's too late. Mistake number 3 is health. Procrastination. And it's the one that literally shortens your life. Here's the pattern. You're young and feel invincible. You eat whatever you want, skip exercise, ignore preventive care. You tell yourself you'll get healthy someday. But your body doesn't wait for someday. Every unhealthy choice you make today is like making a deposit in the disease bank. And when you're 70, the bill comes due. Regular physical exercise, mental stimulation and learning, social engagement, stress management, quality sleep, healthy diet. Your brain, like your muscles, needs regular exercise to stay strong. If you don't challenge your mind regularly, it will weaken over time. So how do you protect your mental health and cognitive function? First, prioritize mental health care just like physical health care. Find a therapist you trust and see them regularly, even when you feel fine. Second, challenge your brain regularly. Learn new skills, solve puzzles, read complex material, engage in deep conversations. Third, stay socially engaged. Isolation is one of the biggest risk factors for both depression and cognitive decline. Fourth, manage stress effectively. Chronic stress is toxic to your brain. Find healthy coping mechanisms that work for you. Fifth, consider medication if necessary. There's no shame in taking medication for mental health issues, just like there's no shame in taking medication for diabetes or high blood pressure. One of the biggest barriers to mental health care among older adults is stigma. Many people from older generations view mental health issues as personal failures rather than medical conditions. This stigma can be deadly. Untreated depression and anxiety can lead to social isolation, physical health problems, and even suicide. Remember, taking care of your mental health isn't selfish or weak. It's essential. You can't enjoy your golden years if you're struggling with untreated mental health issues. Mistake 8. Failing to plan for aging and dependency. Mistake number 8 is the one that catches almost everyone off guard, failing to plan for aging and dependency. Here's the reality check. As you age, you're likely to need help with daily activities at some point. It might be temporary after a surgery, or it might be permanent due to chronic illness or cognitive decline. But most people never plan for this reality. They assume they'll always be independent, or they assume their children will take care of them. Let me share some numbers that will shock you. About 70% of people over 65 will need some form of long-term care during their lifetime. The average cost of a private room in a nursing home is over $100,000 per year. Most people have no idea how they'll pay for this care, and Medicare doesn't cover most long-term care expenses. I know a couple, Robert and Mary, who had saved diligently for retirement. They had over $500,000 in savings and thought they were set for life. Then Robert developed Alzheimer's disease. Within 3 years, their entire life savings was gone, spent on memory care and home health aides. Mary had to sell their house and move in with their daughter. She told me, "We planned for everything except the one thing that actually happened." Long-term care can take many forms: in-home care, adult day programs, assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, memory care units. Each type has different costs and benefits, and what's right for one person might not be right for another. So how do you plan for aging and dependency? First, start the conversation early. Talk with your family about your preferences for care. Do you want to age in place? Would you consider moving to a retirement community? Second, explore insurance options. Long-term care insurance can help cover some costs, but it's expensive and has limitations. Look into it while you're still healthy. Third, consider alternative living arrangements. Maybe you want to move to a continuing care retirement community, or maybe you want to age in place with modifications to your home. Fourth, prepare legal documents. Make sure you have updated wills, power of attorney documents, and advance directives. These documents will guide your care if you can't make decisions for yourself. Research shows that people who retire without a clear sense of purpose are more likely to experience depression, cognitive decline, and even early death. The Japanese have a concept called ikigai, your reason for being. People with a strong ikigai live longer, healthier lives. Here's what happens. If you define yourself entirely by your job title, when you retire, you lose your identity. You go from being John the engineer to being John the what? This is especially common among high achievers. The more successful you are in your career, the more likely you are to fall into this trap. But purpose doesn't have to come from paid work. It can come from volunteering for causes you care about, mentoring younger people, pursuing creative projects, learning new skills, caring for family members, contributing to your community. So how do you avoid the purpose vacuum? First, start exploring interests outside of work while you're still working. Don't wait until retirement to discover what you're passionate about. Second, consider a gradual transition to retirement rather than stopping work abruptly. Maybe reduce your hours or take on consulting work. Third, think about how you want to contribute to the world. What legacy do you want to leave? What problems do you want to help solve? Fourth, stay intellectually curious. Keep learning, reading, exploring. A curious mind is a purposeful mind. Remember, retirement isn't the end of your productive life. It's the beginning of your most meaningful chapter, but only if you plan for it. Mistake 5, social isolation and community neglect. Mistake number 5 is closely related to mistake number 1, but it's different. It's community neglect. While mistake number 1 was about personal relationships, this mistake is about your broader connection to community and society. Picture this. You spend your working years focused on your career and immediate family. You live in a suburb where you barely know your neighbors. You don't participate in local organizations, religious communities, or civic groups. When you retire, you realize you have no connection to the world around you. You don't know who to call when you need help. You have no sense of belonging anywhere. What you failed to build is what sociologists call social infrastructure, the web of relationships and connections that make life rich and meaningful. I know a woman named Patricia who lived in the same house for 30 years, but never really connected with her community. When her husband died, she realized she was completely alone. She didn't know her neighbors, had no connection to local organizations, and felt like a stranger in her own town. She told me, "I lived here for 3 decades, but I never really lived here." Studies show that people who are actively involved in their communities live longer. have better mental health, and report higher life satisfaction. Community involvement provides a sense of belonging, opportunities for contribution, social support networks, intellectual stimulation, physical activity. Community can take many forms. Geographic community, your neighborhood, religious or spiritual community, hobby-based communities, professional associations, volunteer organizations, online communities. Yes, these count too. So how do you build community connections? First, start where you are. Get to know your neighbors. Attend local events. Shop at local businesses and actually talk to people. Second, find organizations that align with your values. Whether it's a church, synagogue, mosque, environmental group, or political organization, find your tribe. Third, volunteer regularly. Volunteering is one of the fastest ways to build community connections and find purpose. Fourth, pursue hobbies that involve other people. Join a book club, take a class, participate in sports leagues. Fifth, be the connector. Introduce people to each other. Host gatherings. Be the person who brings people together. Remember, community connections, like financial savings, compound over time. The relationships you build today will support you for decades to come. Mistake 6, putting all eggs in one basket. Mistake number 6 is the diversification failure, and it applies to every area of your life, not just your investment portfolio. Here's what I mean. Many people put all their eggs in one basket without realizing it. All their identity in their career, all their social connections through work, all their financial security in one job or one investment. When that one thing fails, and it often does, their entire life crumbles. Let me tell you about Michael. He was a brilliant engineer who worked for the same company for 25 years. His entire identity was tied to his job. His friends were all co-workers. His retirement savings were heavily invested in company stock. When the company went through massive layoffs at age 55, Michael lost everything at once. His job, his identity, his social connections, and a huge portion of his retirement savings. He told me, "I thought I was being loyal and focused, but I was actually being dangerously naive." You need to diversify in multiple areas. Financial diversification, different types of investments, multiple income streams, various asset classes, geographic diversification, social diversification, work friends and non-work friends, different age groups, various interest-based communities, online and offline connections, identity diversification, multiple roles, parent, professional, volunteer, hobbyist, different sources of self-worth, various skills and competencies, health diversification, multiple healthcare providers, different types of physical activity, various stress management techniques, diverse sources of mental stimulation. Think of it as building redundancy into your life. If one system fails, you have backups. If one source of happiness disappears, you have others. Here's how to diversify your life. First, audit your current situation. Where are you putting all your eggs in one basket? What would happen if that basket disappeared? Second, gradually build alternatives. If all your friends are from work, start building friendships elsewhere. If all your money is in one investment, start diversifying. Third, develop multiple skills and interests. Don't be just good at one thing. Become a T-shaped person, deep expertise in one area, broad competence in many. Fourth, create multiple income streams. Even if you have a stable job, consider side hustles, investments, or passive income sources. Remember, diversification isn't about being scattered or unfocused. It's about being resilient and adaptable. It's about creating a life that can weather any storm. Mistake 7. Neglecting mental health and cognitive decline. Mistake number 7 is the one many people are most afraid to talk about: mental health and cognitive decline. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Mental health issues don't magically disappear when you get older. In fact, they often get worse. And if you don't address them early, they can make your golden years absolutely miserable. Depression and anxiety are incredibly common among older adults, but they're often undiagnosed and untreated. People assume feeling sad or anxious is just normal aging. It's not. I'll never forget meeting Eleanor, a 74-year-old retired teacher. She seemed to have everything: good health, financial security, a loving family. But she was deeply depressed. She told me, "I've been sad for so long, I forgot what happiness feels like. I always thought I'd deal with it later. But later is now, and I don't know how." Eleanor had struggled with depression for decades, but never sought help. She thought it was a character flaw, not a medical condition. By the time she finally got treatment, the depression had robbed her of years of potential happiness. But it's not just about mood disorders. Cognitive decline is a real concern as we age. While some memory loss is normal, significant cognitive decline isn't inevitable. Research shows that certain lifestyle factors can dramatically reduce your risk of dementia and cognitive decline. Fifth, consider your housing situation. Is your current home suitable for aging? Are there stairs? Is it in a location where you can access services? One of the hardest parts of planning for aging is having conversations with your adult children. Many parents don't want to burden their children with these discussions, but avoiding them actually creates more burden later. Your children need to know your preferences, your financial situation, and your legal documents. They need to understand what you want and what you can afford. Planning for aging isn't just about practical considerations. It's about maintaining dignity and autonomy. When you plan ahead, you get to make choices about your care. When you don't plan, others make choices for you. Remember, planning for aging isn't being pessimistic, it's being responsible. Here's the final truth. You can make all the other mistakes on this list and still be happy if you maintain gratitude and perspective. But you can avoid all the other mistakes and still be miserable if you don't. Gratitude isn't just a nice to have, it's the foundation of a life well lived. So there you have it, the 9 fatal mistakes that can ruin your life in old age. 1. Neglecting relationships. 2. Financial unpreparedness. 3. Ignoring health until it's too late. 4. Lack of purpose and meaning. 5. Social isolation and community neglect. 6. Putting all eggs in one basket. 7. Neglecting mental health and cognitive decline. 8. Failing to plan for aging and dependency. 9. Living without gratitude and perspective. But here's the empowering truth. Now that you know these mistakes, you can avoid them. You have the power to create a different future for yourself. The choices you make today, right now, will determine whether you're happy or miserable in 20 or 30 years. That's both a huge responsibility and an incredible opportunity. So what should you do right now? First, pick one mistake from this list that resonates most with you. Don't try to fix everything at once. Second, take one small action today. Call a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Set up automatic savings. Schedule a doctor's appointment. The action doesn't have to be big, it just has to be a start. Third, share this video with someone you care about. These mistakes affect millions of people. And awareness is the first step to prevention. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, which mistake hit closest to home for you? What's one action you're going to take this week based on what you learned? What other topics about aging and life planning would you like me to cover? If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every week about living your best life at every stage. Remember, it's never too early to start planning for your future, and it's never too late to make positive changes. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let your golden years be tarnished by mistakes you could have avoided. You have the knowledge, now use it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.